Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jess.
Today we're talking about a wonderful movie called Antlers.
It was pushed back a few times because of COVID.
Yeah. But, oh well. Before we get into all of that, just a couple cool things about that came out this week. One, they have casted the One Piece live-action movie, TV show, whatever the hell it is, the thing Netflix is making. They finally casted it. They casted the main Straw Hat crew members, and I have thoughts on it, which we're not going to get into because it doesn't matter.
It would end up being the whole episode.
It would end up being 2 episodes. Anyways, and other cool news, anyone who cares, which is going to be maybe one person, I don't know. There's a new operating system out there called Zorin OS 16, so new-ish, new iteration, and it looks pretty cool if you're looking to switch from Windows or whatever else you're using, if you're not a big fan of the new Windows 11 that's coming out, or if your computer can't handle it, because a lot of them can't, which is unfortunate. You can switch to that. It's pretty good. And last thing, Steam, the wonderful game, the gaming company, Steam, announced just a little while ago that their next Steam VR release is going to integrate a BCI, which is a brain-computer interface, to let people play their games in VR without doing anything.
Which is wild. Like, you don't even have to move your arms. Like, you don't have to move your physical body. You just think about moving.
I think the idea is eventually, but I'm not sure if it's quite there yet. I think the intent behind it is that when you have it on, your brain just does the things that your brain does. And it's like you're moving it without doing anything. You're just thinking and it happens.
It seems like it's the start of a post-apocalyptic, like everybody just stays in their house with these things on their head and actually lives through the internet. Yeah,
no, this is 100% like the first step. This and Metaverse with Meta, whatever they're doing.
Metaverse.
Are the first 2 steps towards Ready Player One,
like gamer,
Sword Art Online, all of that. Yeah. It's the first step towards that, which, on one hand, awful. On the other hand, pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you remember Gamer?
I do.
That movie?
They were in prison, and there was like VR gamers that would use them to die.
Yeah, they would.
It was a battle royale with real living bodies.
What was it? Gerard Butler? I don't know. It
wasn't Gerard Way, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no. He's too good for that. Him and Logan Lerman, they... Like, this kid is like...
A good gamer?
Yeah, he's like a great gamer. And he takes control of this middle-aged man who's in prison. He signed up for this program. And as long as he plays, and this kid doesn't get him killed, he can... either get rid of his entire sentence or lower it. Mm-hmm. It was a wild movie.
Wild. And, like, lucky him, he got a good gamer. And then also was like, hey, I can just straight murder these guys better than you can. Let me do it. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, I'll pretend that I'm playing the game. Man.
Weirdly okay movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I only watched it, though, because I had a giant crush on Logan Lerman at the time. Anyway.
So yeah, that's happening. I think right now, like they have been doing, there have been tests, not just from Steam, but a bunch of different companies, trying to get that interface to be more direct or to be more exact, like someone actually moving a character's body and doing that. But I think the most present results, what we're at right now, is being able to interact with an interface with your mind, essentially. Because it can recognize when you recognize something more easily than just you telling it to do something. So let's say on the user interface there's a black box, and when you look at it and you want it to open, it'll open. It'll have an easier time understanding that you're recognizing it and wanting the interface to happen versus just you going close fist and it closing. And I think that's kind of the direction it's going in, so that there's less buttons involved in VR. Because there's plenty of hand tracking and other stuff that can be integrated, and that's good. And there's ways to make it so you can run in VR on a treadmill or whatever, and that's okay. So, like, I think there's just one step further towards them trying to push away from buttons and controllers and anything, so that it's all fully yourself.
Kind of cool.
It's pretty cool. Very dangerously cool, but cool. But that's all I got. That's all the cool things I heard about. But we also did watch a very cool movie. So, baby, will you tell us a little bit about Antlers?
Sure thing. So I was really excited for Antlers to come out. When it was first announced, I was super into it.
Yeah, back in like 2018.
I was super into it and was really looking forward to it. It got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because of COVID. So finally, we were blessed with its presence. And it wasn't... Okay, I'm not going to give my opinion yet. I'll just say... I almost started just giving my opinion on it.
Just want to jump right in there.
So the basic idea or plot of the movie was this recovering alcoholic moves in with her sheriff brother of this town that they used to live in. They grew up in. And she becomes a teacher, notices one of her students is kind of not doing so well, and after a while figures out he's in trouble. Spoiler alert, just let you guys know. I feel like lots of people already know what it is about.
They said it in the trailer.
Okay, yeah. So
they said the word in the trailer.
So those of you who might be superstitious, skip ahead a couple seconds because I'm going to say it. In the end, it turns out that his father and little brother are Wendigos. And, shenanigans occur and they have to resolve that problem somehow. The kid, the teacher, and the sheriff all together.
Mm-hmm. It is a horror movie, but it's definitely more about emotional suspense and whatnot. So
yeah, what I was gonna say before was that it was, the trailer made it seem more like a horror movie than it actually was. There were jump scares, there were moments that made you tense, things that made you nervous, like the edge of the seat sort of thing, but not necessarily scary, at least in my opinion. Like, the jump scares got me a few times, but it wasn't like a continuous scary feeling. It was more of like a, oh man, that kind of sucks feeling.
Well, that's definitely true. It's definitely, oh man, everything about this is upsetting.
Yeah.
But coming from me, a big chicken, I actually was pretty scared the whole time. There was always this sense of like, oh, something's going to go real bad very soon, every second of the movie. And also, I'm really bad at jump scares. Every single one got me. I'm awful at jump scares.
Well, their jump scares they weren't like right after each other, like some video games are like, oh, here's a jump scare. Turn another corner and here's another jump scare. And then you get desensitized to it. In this movie, they happened, like, there was like 4 maybe. And when they happened, they were freaky.
Yeah, they're like 30 minutes apart in a 90-minute movie.
It was very good.
Indeed, it was very good. So, what can you tell me about the movie?
Well, I can tell you that it's based off a short story created by Nick Antosca. I hope I'm not butchering that. Called The Quiet Boy. And it is directed by Scott Cooper, starring Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, and Jeremy T. Thomas. And I think they did all really good jobs, especially Jeremy Thomas, who plays the kid. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no.
Where did they find this kid? Like,
how old is he? Because he did it phenomenal. He carried this movie, and he's like 9, 10, 12?
In the movie, he's 12. In real life, he's 15. I don't know how that's possible because in the movie... well, okay. They
started recording a couple years ago.
He could have been 12 when they made the movie.
Yeah.
And now he's just 15. Because if that boy is 15 while he made that movie,
honestly, that boy is
very malnourished.
If that boy is 12, that's wild. He looked very young.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Either way, even then, like, he's still a very young person and did a phenomenal job. Truly carried the emotional weight of the entire movie.
So I guess he also plays in Paradise Lost and The Righteous Gemstones, a few other things. I don't know what any of those are. I will mention that the boy who plays his little brother is Sawyer Jones, and his dad is played by Scott Hayes. Mm-hmm. And his little brother also does a really good job.
Mm-hmm. Let's not understate the father either, because I wasn't...
Yeah, I like the kids.
Oh, no, they were amazing. They were amazing. I'm just saying the dad did very little, like... He had very few lines, mm-hmm. but had a lot of physical acting.
Yeah, he had a lot of character, too, mm-hmm. which was impressive because he had so little lines.
Yeah, and... honestly, some of the best acting in a long while that I've seen, because we've watched a lot of a lot of fun movies that had okay acting.
A movie can be good and fun. You can enjoy it with the actors not being that great.
Yeah. That is honest facts.
But yeah, what did you like about the dad?
Oh. Okay.
Because the whole town makes him seem like some like dangerous druggy addict.
Mm-hmm. So here part of everything, part of the whole gimmick of the movie is that it's not meant to really be a horror movie, because in the sense of here's a villain trying to do villainous things. It's a horror movie in the sense of, hey, drug addiction ruins families and hurts children, and abuse is a cycle, and it's horrifying and awful. And they're right. Yeah. It is. And the movie does a great job of that in the way that it focuses on the dad himself, because it doesn't make him the bad guy. Mm-mm. It makes the infection, the illness of addiction, or in this case being a Wendigo, makes that the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And the metaphor gets muddled with some of the other characters here and there, whatever. It's still incredibly well done. And I think the fact that throughout the movie you get bits and pieces from the sheriff and whoever else that, like, this man lost his job, he then turned to drugs to maybe make money, and then became addicted to those said drugs, and just fell down this staircase of life. And there are just a couple of scenes, you see him interacting with his children in a way that is very sympathetic. He knows he's going in this path, and he's trying to maybe even protect them.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that he cares about them. He wants to protect them and he loves them, but he's stuck himself. Mm-hmm.
It's so very good. Oh my god, I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there's some sort of metaphor, I guess, in the fact the little brother is also turning into a Wendigo. Mm-hmm. It's as if, let's say it's not about Wendigo, it is about, drugs and abuse. It's like the older brother may have been, trying to support the little brother and, like, help him out and everything, but in the end, his little brother also just kind of went down the wrong path. Mm-hmm. And the father also saw that happening and was like, well, there was nothing I could do for myself. How are you going to help yourself too? So, like, you got to come with me, and we got to let your brother hopefully survive. Mm-hmm. So they lock themselves in the attic.
And, oh my god, I don't want to pick apart the metaphor, because that's not the point. Like, you can examine it from the children being older as well, and, like, the idea of, because the one of the biggest parts of the movie that caught my attention, at least, is that the older brother, the one who's not sick, the one who's not who's trying to protect his family, he takes care of the dad. He provides for him what he needs, which in this case is meat, whatever case would be, whatever. And was also trying to provide for his brother without giving him those things.
Yeah, like, so, instead of giving him the, fresh meat that he would have to give to his dad, he would give his little brother, like, goldfish and stuff to help him maybe not go down that path.
Mm-hmm. And it's just this idea of an older child more capable of dealing with the abuses of whatever's going on, whatever the scenario is, trying to protect a little brother who maybe isn't as capable, as able to withstand and also resist the abuse and the urges of that sickness and whatever
being
else.
A Wendigo.
Being a Wendigo. And
it was really good.
Fucking chef kiss. And
I feel like the biggest part of the story was obviously surrounded the boy and his family. There were some side plots that had to do with the teacher and her brother and their family abuse. They just kind of like hinted at that one though.
Probably because it was less.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the kid in his story had, a bigger plot in the story. Obviously, it was the main issue. And it was, hidden by, oh, it's a Wendigo sort of thing. And hers was just flat out like, no, she was abused by her dad.
Yeah, there wasn't a metaphor there. It just was. Mm-hmm. She was abused, and her brother might have been all this, everything that goes along with abuse.
Yep.
But another part of it that I thought was pretty, I'm not going to say, another part of it that I thought was well shown, well executed, well promoted or whatever, is that the teacher, due to her past as someone who was abused, and the direction she went with the rest of her life, it was just kind of reminding everyone that, hey, people who experience these things, they're looking for each other. They're, they recognize the signs and they're trying to help. And that seemed to be more important to her character, being a person who notices these things in the children and tries to protect them more so than just the abuse itself. Like, that was a scar in her
that she was trying to deal with.
Yeah, which was her own battle, but that wasn't the purpose of her. Her purpose was to help people from getting the same problem. Yeah. And that was wonderful.
Yeah. There's a scene where she, finds this notebook that this little kid, the classic little kid draws creepy photos in his notebook. And she brings it to the principal, and the principal's like, okay, well, we know the whole town knows his family and his dad they're not,
it's the
greatest. They're not the greatest. They're not, super well-to-do or anything. So this kid is just kind of weird. There's no real signs of abuse. He's just strange. And the teacher, Carrie Russell, do not recall her actual character's name, but she's like, take it from somebody who knows what abuse looks like. And the principal is like, well, none of us are professionals on that. And she's like, no, like,
I know what
take it from someone who knows what abuse is. Like, this kid needs help. This is a cry for help. These things that he's drawing in his notebook. And previously in class, he had read out loud a story that he had been writing, and that was another sign to her that this kid needs help. And like, obviously, and maybe it's because I take care of kids. I don't know, but if I were her, immediately once I was the teacher, I've been like, that kid gives me different vibes than the rest. Yeah. His clothes are 3 weeks old. They have holes in them. He smells kind of funky, maybe kind of like a dead animal. And he's really quiet. He gets bullied. Like, we at least need to, even if there wasn't really any signs of abuse, there's neglect there, which I guess, is a form of abuse. But he's being neglected. He is being bullied. Like, we at least need to take care of him and support him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's, the thing anymore, or if it's just in Michigan or whatever. But if, there are certain things that when you see it at school or in any sort of setting where you take care of kids, you are legally required to call the police or the CPS, Child Protective Services, and not just like, oh, hey, principal, I think maybe this is happening. You know, like, it's illegal to not call anybody.
Right.
I got frustrated. I got frustrated at that part in the movie.
Yeah. But I think they do mention at one point that, like, they had called CPS before when the drugs first came into the story, and they didn't really do anything. And
so we keep saying that drugs are a metaphor, but he actually did do drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not just the Wendigo thing. His dad lost his job and then actually did start cooking and taking drugs.
Yeah, there is the actual drugs of the story and the metaphorical drugs of the story.
Yeah.
Metaphorical drugs.
Metaphorical drugs.
There should be a drug called the metaphor. Anyways.
It's all a metaphor, baby.
It's all a metaphor. So, obviously, we have nothing but genuinely good opinions regarding this movie. It's done very well in our eyes. But apparently, that's not the case to most people.
Okay, so I can kind of understand, because myself, I was also expecting something a little more like horror-esque. Like, I was gonna get more spooked than I did. But I wasn't mad about it. Like, I enjoyed this movie a lot. But other people did get angry about it. So this movie only has 6.4 on IMDb, 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 57 on Metacritic, which, I mean, is better than a lot of things. Like,
so my favorite movies have like 10%.
Yeah, it could have gotten a lot worse, you know? But I think it should have also gotten better. Like, the 6.4 isn't too bad, but I feel like it should have been, like, at least 70%.
At minimum.
Yeah, like the lowest should have been 70. Yeah, so this comment right here, somebody asked, how scary is Antlers? And they say, it's a very dark, brutal movie with extreme gore and disturbing scenes of children in peril. Despite interesting characters and creature design, it also relies on tired cliches and jump scares. Which, it does have jump scares, but I don't think they're used in the way that makes it, like, boring and like, oh god, another jump scare, here it comes, you know? Because I wasn't expecting some of the jump scares. Like, I'm not a professional critic or anything, but I've watched enough scary movies and played enough scary games in my life that I feel like I can sit down and watch a movie and I'll just be like, Ollie, it's coming, there's a jump scare about to happen.
Yeah. Also,
and it happens. But with this movie, I had no idea.
It's because I feel like their jump scares were put in spots where there had just been a tense situation, and then the tension dropped right on down, and they were moving on for plot things, and then during that lull is when, boop, here's a jump scare, which, you know, a little shifty, a little shady, but it worked. But yeah, that comment, that review makes no fucking sense.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
The review just makes no sense. It wasn't cliche. There was genuine thought and you know, provoking characterization and whatnot in the story. It was great. It's wild that they're like, it was cliche and the jump scares were overused. Like, they had 3.
Yeah. I think, you know, a lot of people who God, I'm glitching right now. Glitching the Matrix. A lot of people who didn't like the movie, or they gave it, like, you know, a 5 or a 4 or even a 6, it was because they were expecting, like I was at first, a horror movie. To be scared, to, like, you know,
a creature feature.
Yeah. To freak out, to see more of the Wendigo, to see, you know, all of these people fighting the Wendigo, and I probably shouldn't be saying it this much, but seeing, this creature chase everybody, and, people getting mauled and killed, and, like, there is maulings, there is killings, it's just, more like...
It's more about the abstract horror of a child being in constant danger for their life, which is also pretty horrific.
Yeah. I would like to read part of this review, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. And may I make a comment real quick? Someone, on more than one occasion, has paid us money to do this. I think we're basically professional reviewers. At least more professional than whatever the fuck this person's gonna say.
Yes. So, I am gonna say what their name is. I mean, it's an online name, it's not real. But, it's on the IMDb page. So, if you want to go and, like, maybe...
Look at them.
Tell them wrong.
Is that even a thing you can do in IMDb?
you can reply to it. Or you can... No, you can't reply, but you can...
Review someone's review?
Vote on it or something. I don't know. So, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I don't think, because it's actually pretty long. But it says... Oh, Lord. They were excited about it, but got pushed back because of the pandemic. And they give a little brief bit about what the movie is about. And then they say that, I quote, "I found the film to be pretty dull mostly. For the first 20 to 30 minutes, the film doesn't half drag and drag." I'm saying this word for word, by the way. The film doesn't half drag and drag, I don't know what that means, with each scene being nothing but talky, droning dialogue with no punch of charisma. Literally, I was yawning to tears. It was that bad, and even when it did get going, was the payoff not worth it. The gore and action were good, but the film was flat, dull, and boring mostly. It reminded me of Babadook. It was a slow, droning, depressing film with no punch or impact. They also say, rewind a little, that...
Didn't people love the Babadook?
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. I think the Babadook, I think, was like a 50-50. Some people liked it, some people didn't.
Gotcha.
But they also say, when they're describing the movie, they say... So this is what makes me think that this person who wrote this review, Vengeance 20. Okay, Vengeance. This is what makes me think that I'm 1,000% sure this person is not watching this right now or listening. But hey, Vengeance, this review makes me think that maybe you were scrolling on your phone while you were watching, because the film does follow a boy who is feeding his dad, who is slowly turning into a Wendigo, but his teacher, who is a recovering alcoholic, is definitely not in an unhappy marriage with her brother, the sheriff.
I mean, it is a small town.
They say that the boy's teacher is in an unhappy marriage with her sheriff husband. They're brother and sister? Brother and sister?
Which I'm like 70% sure they say that.
And even if they don't directly say it in the movie, it is very obvious because, she tells him, I'll move out when I can, get my own place. And he's like, oh, it's okay. I wasn't saying anything like that. So you obviously know she's come from a different place. Her license plates say California, and they are currently in Oregon.
Not to mention, they on multiple occasions talk about the abuse they both experienced from their father.
Yeah, from their shared father. Then they also use the word NAF, N-A-F-F.
And let's be careful using words we don't know what they are.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm not in the loop. I don't know. But if anybody knows what the heck that means, let me know. If I shouldn't say it, let me know. Yeah, if it's something dumb, let me know. If it's pretentious, let me know. Yeah, I don't know what the heck it means.
Let me know if I need to come back, re-edit it, a beep over that word.
Yeah. So it also says you simply couldn't care about the film itself, never mind the characters, the motives, and what was going on. It felt careless and pointless, which is interesting to me. It also makes me think this person was not paying attention, or at least didn't grasp the real meaning of the movie. They went to the movies or saw it at home, whatever.
I don't think this one came out at home.
Well, either way, they went to see it, and they immediately realized it wasn't what they were expecting, and then didn't pay attention at all because they didn't care. They were like, you know what? It's not what I wanted. I immediately don't like it. Which I've met people who do that. They watch a movie and they're like, this isn't, as action-packed, or this is too slow, or whatever. I don't like it. And they didn't give it a chance. And so they made this review and pretended like they knew what they were talking about.
Which they clearly didn't.
They gave it a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
I so badly wanted to reply to it, but I didn't feel like figuring out my IMDb password that I made 5 years ago. So, if somebody else knows if you know your IMDb password, if you don't even have a account, you should sign up for one and then respond to Vengeance 20 on the Antlers movie and be like, hey, you gotta actually watch the movie to know what the movie's about to be able to review it.
Right. All right. So, clearly, the reviews are wrong. So what is...
I mean, that was only the one review, but most of the reviews were pretty positive. They were pretty positive, leaning towards, it was a good movie, but it wasn't what I was hoping for, which I feel like is why it's at a 6.
Right. So, final verdict. Let's slap a number on this one and give a recommendation. What do you think?
I'll be honest. I don't think it's a 10. I really do like it. I like creatures, especially weird-looking creatures. Excuse me. I'm a really big fan of, things that look like maybe they're an ancient old god you should be worshipping. I don't know. I think they're cool. If you've ever seen The Ritual, you know what I'm talking about. But I think it's at least an 8 or a 9.
Oh, yeah.
I would say. 8.5. Because I do think that it could have been just a little bit more of something, expanded on with some of the different storylines in it. And parts of it might have been a little slow or something, but it was very good.
Very good. I agree. I definitely think I'm giving this one also an 8.5. I'm gonna support your decision on that because the acting was phenomenal. The meaning behind it, the plot was good because there was purpose behind it.
Yeah, all the acting was very good. There was nobody in the movie who I was like, man, this person.
Right. And if they're because there were side characters who weren't important, but they weren't important, so they weren't focused on. They weren't given scenes and lines to be like, here's a dumb take. They were just next thing. The reason I'm gonna give it an 8.5 with you is that there was some fat that probably could have been trimmed off here and there. There was a bundle of scenes here and there where it's just kind of well, okay. Thanks for showing that, I guess. There's some repetitiousness to the mention and references to, the father's drug abuse, which I suppose maybe they were trying to be, make sure everybody understood. Which clearly
some people did not.
So maybe they actually needed more of it, but whatever. if you're paying attention, once or twice would have been enough, but they kind of, kept pushing for that. And I understand the purpose. I just think it could have, for the right audience, would have been better if it was a little more streamlined in certain places.
How did you feel about big spoiler wart? A wart?
A wart?
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert.
How did you feel about the ending?
Right. So, they know what our opinions. They got our review score, so if they want to stick around, they can. I thought I liked the ending a lot. I was
just wondering because I like the interaction that she had with the kid, and I didn't enjoy, but I appreciated, I guess, what she had to do, and how everything went down with his little brother. I think the way the father, who, had at this point fully transformed, the way he was dealt with was a little lackluster. But again, that might just be me, going into it hoping it was more of like an action-y horror movie or horror film.
You're hoping they dug into like, Wendigo lore. You have to take out their heart and quench it and destroy it.
She did rip his heart out, and it was like this glowing, massive heart that was like molten, which was really cool. Like it literally burned her hands to hold. But I mean, just stabbing him with a spear and then it was over. I was just expecting a little more of a fight from him, but with all the metaphorical drugs in his system, he might not have had a lot of strength left in him.
Yeah. And
even as a windy boy, as they say, windy boy, he still was slightly conscious. Like, he was still kind of aware of his kids. Like, he knew he wanted his sons with him. Even though he was this, like, giant myth lore, whatever, creature of lore. What? He was like, I have to go get my kids so they can be with me. So they can be little windy boys with me.
Mm-hmm. Which I think a lot of that comes out in the depiction of the creature, especially at the very end. Because it's throughout the movie, the way that the Wendigo appears is, just kind of the dad is kind of messed up in various ways, and eventually it literally rips out of him and is like its own separate end,
a husk,
which is again great fucking metaphor. But at the very end, there's a scene with like the full creature, and its face is just the flapping skin of the dad's face.
Excuse me, he does take it off, but that first reveal of his face is
very good. It looks great, but also just like part of with going back to like sort of the deeper metaphor behind it all. Up until that point, he still was presenting as their dad, and the fact that he wanted them with him and all this stuff. And up until the very final moments before this, both sons are very much wanting to be with him. The main character truly wants to be with his dad and take care of them. And it wasn't until the ending when the dad takes the remaining flesh off that the kid chooses to save the teacher from the dad and set himself free from that. So like it's very well done.
It is very well done.
Let us know what you think down below.
Yeah, and going into this movie, when you sit down to watch it, make sure you understand there's more to it than just a horror movie.
Yeah. All right, that's all we've got. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, whatever the fuck else people do on YouTube. We'll see you next time.
Love you.